We are one step closer, finishing your Module 1 of your professional diploma in graphic design. InDesign is part of our final 2 lessons, and we will also look at how to get your files print ready. Did you know a recent study revealed that almost all designers get addicted to some form of design? So much so that even during a designer's off time, they will do designing instead of just sitting idle. What better way than to do what you love? Design also helps to stimulate you creatively, and the more you do it, the better you get at it. I would like to share 2 quotes with you today, as they link well together. The first quote that I would like to share is by Carla Johnson, world-renowned storyteller, speaker, and author. The second quote is by Albert Einstein, German physicist. Carla states that permission to be creative only needs to come from one person, you. This means that you can be your own worst enemy when it comes to creativity. It is also very easy to say that time, money, or limitations stand in our way to be creative. And I speak to myself as well when it comes to this. Instead of seeing these things as obstacles, because quite frankly, they do indeed make it difficult to reach the other side, change your mindset to one that sees these as opportunities. Albert Einstein said that creativity is seeing what everyone else has seen and thinking what no one else has thought. I can bet you that if it's difficult for you to achieve, it most certainly will be difficult for most people to achieve as well. This is when most people will give up. Being the 1% that continues will truly make you successful. I'm sure most of you have access to our courses via your smartphone or even a desktop or laptop computer. Remember, you can always go back and watch the recordings. We are almost done with Module 1. By the end of this week, you should have a basic knowledge of Adobe Illustrator, Photoshop, and InDesign. I hope that you are hungry to dig deeper into these programs, as they have so much to offer. Remember to access your lessons and assignments to gain more experience. As you probably know by now, your toolkit can be unlocked at a minimal cost, and it includes amazing content that will enhance your learning experience even more. Our lesson today will focus on getting your files print ready as well as working with InDesign. So be sure to download your 7-day free trial for InDesign. After Adobe Illustrator, Photoshop, and InDesign have expired, you are able to access these amazing programs at a 15% discounted price. Why? Simply because you signed up to do a course through Sha Academy. If you are taking this course seriously, I suggest you subscribe to the Adobe package and continue with our next modules. Let's chat to Morpheus and do a quick recap of the main points made in our previous lesson. I'm sure that you know this fact by heart now. The reason why I place so much emphasis on this term is because it needs to become second nature to you if you're interested in becoming a graphic designer. The question I would like to ask you is, what is the difference between 72 ppi and 300 ppi? Is it A, ppi stands for position per image and links to the resolution of an image? B, 300 ppi is used for the printing of artwork and 72 ppi is used for digital use? C, 72 ppi is used for the printing of artwork and 300 dpi is for digital use? Or D, 72 ppi is low resolution and 300 ppi is high resolution? The answer is both B and D. Thinking back on our previous lessons, you will recall that you need a high resolution in order to print an image. Thus, 300 ppi is literally 300 pixels in 1 inch. 72 ppi would then obviously be 72 pixels per inch and is suitable for artwork in digital format. Today, our focus will be on another concept that is just as crucial as image resolution when preparing your design for print. We are delving into the 2 main color spaces within a document. This concept links well with image resolution and should also be high on your list of basic design terminology. It is crucial to understand a document's color space, and getting this wrong will literally cost you a lot. Take it from me, I've learned the hard way. This term I'm referring to is known as color space, and we will look at the 2 main color spaces that are in use. Color space refers to the color mode an artwork is produced in. Just as 72 ppi is synonymous with digital artwork, so is RGB synonymous with digital artwork as well. RGB is the abbreviation for red, green, and blue, which are the primary colors of light. Do you know what color you will get if you add red, green, and blue together? white, which is why this color space is often referred to as an additive color model, since adding all these colors together will actually produce white. Think about it this way. Your device screen works with light, so it would make sense for it to use an additive color model that also works with light. If 300 ppi is then synonymous with printing artwork, so then is CMYK color space synonymous with printing as well. CMYK stands for cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, and is a subtractive color model, since when mixing these color pigments, you get black, technically. You might ask, why is black referred to as K? Well, K refers to black as the key color, since combining cyan, magenta, and yellow color pigments like ink or paint do not result in a rich, full black, but rather a dark, muddy brown. The printing process then entails black to be added to make the colors of your printed image more vibrant with more contrast. And this is also why ink cartridges are usually produced in these colors. If all of this still confuses you, just know that RGB is the color space you will save your digital artwork in, and CMYK is the color space you will save all your printed artwork in. What do you think would happen if you select the incorrect color space when dropping your work off at the printers? Your colors will be distorted and will not look as what they did when you created your document in the first place. You also would have wasted a lot of valuable time and money, as you will need to convert and send your artwork in for printing yet again. This is why your color space is of crucial importance. So, where exactly do you access and change your color space in the Adobe programs? By default, Illustrator will select the color space for you, depending on what you state the document will be used for. If you can recall our previous lessons, you will remember that we were able to state whether we were creating a mobile, web, or print document. This function in Illustrator automatically changes the color space for the intended purpose, which makes it relatively easy. In Photoshop, it works slightly different. You need to specify the color mode in the right-hand panel when creating a new document. Don't worry too much about all the other color modes at the moment, as you will 99% of the time make use of either CMYK or RGB. In Adobe InDesign, which we will look at a bit later, the process works slightly different. You do not necessarily choose your color space you will be working in at the start of creating a document, but will rather export your document in the intended color mode. It all depends on the purpose of your design, since you might be creating a document that will be both printed and in digital format. The first step in getting a file print ready is to make sure that you are using the correct color mode. If you are not sure about which color mode to use, please consult your printer, as they will know exactly. Rather sound like a fool than spend a lot of money on something that could have been avoided. Let's take a quick look at how to create a print-ready file by taking our Works Every Time layout we created in Lesson 4. Other settings that need to be considered, especially when taking your artwork to a printer, is making sure you have bleed and crop marks added. A bleed or trim marks, in design terms, refers to your design that exceeds or goes beyond the edge of your sheet, as highlighted in blue on this example. The term bleed is difficult to understand if you have not had practical experience in it, but I will try to explain it best I can. One thing you should know is that repro or printing companies do not necessarily print on sheets of paper, like your normal printer at work or home does. These printing companies normally have large rolls or large sheets of paper where they will print multiple designs on one roll or large sheet. After the design is printed, they move over to a guillotine or trimming machine that cuts the pages into the desired size. This is the risk of slightly misaligning the cutting, hence a bleed, which is normally 3 millimeters or a 1/16 of an inch, is added so that you do not have a white, non-printed edge on your document. Think of it like your design needs to bleed over the edge of your paper. The edge of your design is indicated on the example by our cut line, which is the pink dashed line. The cut line is not printed, but I only added it to this example to indicate the printing surface of your design. Crop marks go hand in hand with your bleed in that these are simple lines that indicate where the page should be trimmed or cut by the guillotine or trimming machine. You will notice that the crop marks are indicated in black on the corners of this example. The margins, indicated by the green dashed line, simply refer to your safe area, and you will make sure that designs that are not intended to get cut off do not exceed your margins. If you can recall from our lesson where we did the works every time layout, you'll remember that we added margins in the beginning before we even started with our design. Before we head on to InDesign, I want to briefly show you how to add crop marks to an Illustrator document. Let's get into Illustrator and determine how we can get our document print ready. I would simply like to open my file, wherever you saved it. In Adobe Illustrator, I need the Illustrator file. Might take some time. And from the previous lesson, you can remember we created the flyer on the left. And eventually afterwards, I created the flyer on the right, which still considered the works every time layout, but in a more unconventional way. So I would rather like to use this, as there are a lot of functions or a lot of elements that extend my design. If you will look here, you will see that this gray block extends my artboard, as well as this yellow block and the circles as well. I can even take this gray block and drag it all the way up. Let's do that, just to play it safe. To create a print ready file, I'm simply going to copy this and paste it onto a new design. So to create a new design or a new artboard, you're going to go to File, New, or press Ctrl N or Command N. This was an A4 flyer. Make sure that it is on print, because we're going to print this document, so we want the settings to be correct from the get-go. Going to select A4, change my unit of measurement to millimeters. Portrait landscape or portrait orientation is perfect, only one artboard because it's a flyer. And here's the next step. We need to add a bleed. What was the bleed measurements? It's 3 millimeters. So you'll see all three, my top, bottom, left and right bleeds all change simultaneously because they are locked. So if I tick this, I will be able to change them separately, but it's not really a function that we're going to bother with now because we want it to be 3 millimeters on each side. Advanced options, you can tick on that to expand. Color mode, it's already set to CMYK because we selected a print document. Happy with my high resolution image, 300 ppi, and click create. You will notice that there's a red line on the outside of my artboard. This is the bleed line. Okay, it's just an indication. Don't worry, it's not going to print. I'm going to go back to my design with my selection tool selected. Click and drag to make sure I select the desired artwork. Copy and simply paste it. If it extends your bleed, don't worry too much. That's fine because the document will only save up to the edge of the bleed. So these circles that extend my bleed, that's perfectly fine. So you will see that all designs that are supposed to be on the edge of my printed document extends to the bleed of the document, like the gray block here, my golden block there, and these circles. Once you double check everything, the next step is extremely crucial. I want you to make a note on this. And to put it into perspective, have you ever created any type of document? Let's say you created a PowerPoint or a Word document, and you've used this amazing typeface. You've copied that onto a memory stick, and then all of a sudden when you open it up on a different computer, your typeface or the font that you use converts because the computer that you opened it up doesn't have that typeface. So the same will happen with design and print. You are going to send this document to the printers, but they don't necessarily have these typefaces. So there are two ways of doing it. You can either copy the typefaces and give it to them, which is a bit more tedious and it takes a long time. Or we can convert the typefaces into outlines so that it's not typefaces anymore, but rather vector elements. Now to do that, You can make sure that you select all your type boxes. In this case, for me, it's going to be easier just to select the whole document, irrespective of whether I've selected type or illustrations, because it will only convert my typefaces. You can go to type and go to this option that says convert or create outlines. Shortcut is Shift-Control-O or Shift-Command-O for Mac. Once you click that, you will see that your typeface changes into a vector element instead. The downfall to this is that I won't be able to change my type. So for example, if I made a spelling mistake, I can't just change it. I will need to retype this whole section, but at least I won't have trouble when it comes to the printers. So I normally rather save my print document separate from my original artwork, so I can always go back and change the type in case I need to. So after you created outlines, remember to create outlines, you can click on your type, go to type and select create outlines, or press Shift-Control-O or Shift-Command-O. I can simply save it, go to File, Save as type, select PDF. We can recall it Fred's flyer print. It doesn't ask you for artboards, so it's fine because it's not an Illustrator document. Click Save. Wait for the dialog box to appear. And at Adobe PDF preset, we're going to change it to high quality. Go down to marks and bleeds on the left, tick trim marks, and tick use document bleed settings. This means, if you can remember, we created the 3mm bleed in the beginning, so it's basically going to use those settings. And simply click on Save PDF. I'm going to do this again just so you know. So we're going to go to Adobe PDF preset and select high quality print. Go down to marks and bleeds, tick trim marks, and tick use document bleed settings. That's it. Click Save PDF. And it's saved. I'm going to minimize. I'm going to go to my flyer. And this is what the end result looks like. You can clearly see the crop marks here on the edges and that the print extends those crop marks. And this is all that the printer needs. They simply want to see where your design begins and where it ends, because quite frankly, if you look at the left top corner, you don't know where the design ends or begins. So it's a really good indication for the printers, and they would know exactly what to do with this document. You don't even need to tell them what to do. Let the fun begin. We will look into the last of our 3 programs you will learn in this course. InDesign is my absolute favorite. I will start off by creating a new document and then introduce you to the essential interface. We will look at the different functions of our most important tools in the toolbar and other basic panels you should be aware of. I will end off by showing you how to save and export your files for digital and printing purposes. In this example, we will be creating a business card for Fred's coffee shop. Let's familiarize ourselves with InDesign and determine how we can make use of it effectively. For our second demo, I would like to go back, and I've already created a business card, so we're simply going to recreate this. And I've also downloaded some icons that I would like to use on my business card while we're waiting for InDesign to open up, that I'm going to use on my business card. So you'll also see in the starter pack that I've given you a couple of websites where you can download these type of things for free as well. Or alternatively, if you would like to, you can recreate them using Adobe Illustrator or even InDesign. The choice is yours. So the interface, if you look at it immediately, it looks familiar. I'm just going to maximize this so we can utilize the whole screen. It looks a lot like Illustrator and even Photoshop. And by now you know exactly what this red line means. It's the bleed line. So that's the back of my business card, and if I scroll up, this is the front of my business card. So I, on purpose, created a design with a lot of print that needs to extend in order for us to utilize the bleed to its full capacity. To create this, you can simply go to File, New, Just going to close it for the sake of this is what it would look like when you open up InDesign. Kind of similar. So you can go to create new. Again, we have the dialog box, which looks quite similar to Photoshop and specifically InDesign. Business card obviously will be printed, so I'm going to select a print document. You can go to view all presets here. And here at the bottom, you'll see there's a US business card. So how can I explain this to you? The size of a business card differs from country to country. So we have students from across the world. So it will obviously, I can't tell you what the standard size is. I'm from South Africa. So our standard business card size is 90 by 50 millimeters. US business cards will obviously make use of inches. And if I convert that to inches, it would be 3.5 by 2 inches. Just double check. This is the standard size for business cards in America. In South Africa, we use millimeters and it's 90 by 50. So it's relatively the same, but not really. I think in Australia and Europe, it's 90 by 55. But if you're uncertain, just double check with the company where you are going to print. So I'm going to type 90 millimeters by 50 millimeters, or simply delete or type 50. Then, as with Illustrator and Photoshop, you have the choice of orientation. In the example I've shown you, I've chosen portrait. Number of pages, I'm going to change that to 2. I'm going to untick facing pages at the moment. This is a handy function when you design a booklet or a book with multiple pages. Start, this is just the number of pages. Where should it start? We're going to leave it as 1 as is. A column or the column gutter is when you have columns like for newspapers. I'm not going to make use of that at the moment because I only have 1 column. So then your gutter doesn't really matter. Our margins, if you can remember from our Illustrator tutorial or demo, we literally had to activate the ruler tool when we've opened up the artboard and drag margins in. Now, the nice thing about Adobe InDesign is that it already creates margins for you. Be generous with your margins. There's no default for margins. Just be generous. And I'm going to keep on saying this because it's very important. I like to have an even number when it comes to my margins, just because. And because it's a business card, I'm going to make my margins slightly less. Scroll down. Bleed should be 3 millimeters. And don't worry about the slug at the moment. Once you're happy, just double check everything. Millimeters, 50 by 90. That's the size of business cards in South Africa. I've got my margins, which are 7 millimeters. I've got 2 pages because I'm going to print a double-sided business cards, which is printed on the front and back. And I've got my 3 millimeter bleed. Create. To make sure, again, we're on the same layout, we need to go to Window at the top, Workspace, and tick Essentials. Go to Window, Workspace again, and say Reset Essentials, just to make sure we have the same settings everywhere. You will notice we have the Properties panel here, which tells you all the properties and settings. We can even change our margins if we're not happy with them. We can change the size of our document. We can add more pages. Whatever you want to do, it's really handy, this feature. But on top of all of this, another feature that I would like to add is my character and paragraph panel. So I can simply go to Window, go to Type and Tables, click Character, just drag it over and lock it in here. And then go to Window again, Type and Tables, and select Paragraph. These are two of the toolbars that I make use of the most. So they always come in quite handy. I would like to open up our original design just so we can see what we did. So quick access. Here it is, business card. Okay, let's start with the front page. Okay, so I've got this gray block and then also a white block on top of the gray block and then my logo. Now, the really cool thing is that I can go to Illustrator. I'm going to open it up quickly. This was our fly we created. I'm going to close that for now. And I can simply copy things from Illustrator, Control C, go over to InDesign, go to my original creator document, my new document, Control V, and it even will retain the vector qualities of this image. Just going to minimize this for the time being. Drag it smaller to only have the icons. How easy was that? So these programs work really well in correlation with each other. I literally copied and pasted a file from Illustrator into InDesign. Now, if we look at my original, you will see I only have the letter mark here, only the letter F. To make things even more easy for you, I can go to the Direct Selection tool, which you will be familiar with, the Selection and Direct Selection tool, because they are also available in Illustrator. Do you see how easy it is to work with InDesign as soon as you know and understand the other programs? I'm going to click and drag over everything except the F, because I want to delete this and I want to keep the F, and I'm simply going to press backspace on the keyboard. As easy as that. I've got my F. I'm going to zoom out slightly. I would like to create a gray block. How am I going to do that? I'm simply going to select the rectangle tool, which is the same tool or feature we have in Illustrator. Drag it over my artboard to reach my bleed. I would like to change the color, so I can go to the fill here, select. It's a bit slow, or maybe I'm going to use the eyedropper tool because I want it to be the same color as the F. And you will be familiar with this tool because we also made use of it in Illustrator. Click. Make sure your stroke is set to 0. Right click your block. Go to Arrange and Send to Back. If you would like to redo the demo of the logo we created in one of our first, I think it was in lesson 3, for Fred's logo, you will see a lot of the things that I've done now we did in Illustrator. I'm going to go back to my rectangle tool and create yet another block, but this time it will only fit into my margins. I'm going to go over to my fill and change the color to white. In InDesign, we call white paper, okay, because the color of the paper is technically white, if you think about it, most of the times. I don't want a stroke, so I'm going to click on it and just change it to 0 points here. If you're working on an older version of InDesign, you will probably have the Essentials Classic workspace. And all of the settings that I've been changing now, you will be able to change at the top here. Okay, so it's the same thing. Where is my properties panel? I would like that to be activated. Okay, so again, we don't see our logo. So how am I going to solve this problem? I'm going to select my white block, right click, Arrange, Send backward, but not to back, because then I'm going to send it way to the back. So only backwards. Once, deselect, go over to my logo, select it, and we can resize it by holding in Shift. Maybe make it slightly bigger. And we even have these guides that will indicate if your design is centered. To activate these guides, if they're not activated, you can go to Window, Grids and Guides, and make sure that Smart Guides are activated. Happy with my first design. Let's go over to the second page. I just want to recap what we did here. So I've got my whole logo on top here. I've got the crown at the bottom, and I've got contact details with my 4 icons here. I'm going to copy the gray background because we're going to make use of it again. Control C or Command C. Go to my second artboard, Control V. Arrange and place it. Drag it down. Go over to Illustrator again and copy this logo. Go back to InDesign and paste again. Should fit into my margin, so I'm going to resize it slightly so that it fits in there. Move it up. Now I want to add the crown here at the bottom corner. So by simply choosing the direct selection tool again, I can select my crown only the top part. Press Ctrl C to copy. Zoom out. Go to the bottom and press Ctrl V. Resize by holding in Shift. Maybe place it here somewhere. Let's rotate it slightly. Something like that. If the margins and the bleeds bother you and you want to see what it would look like without this, you can press, there's a cool shortcut called W on your keyboard, and it will show you what your design would look like when it's printed. So now I know I want to see more of my crown. So I can simply make it slightly smaller, move it around, and then just press W again to activate your default printing mode. That needs to be on the edge. The next tool that I would like to introduce you is called the rectangle frame tool. So this basically creates a transparent frame that's like a placeholder. So I'm going to create one. There's nothing in. And I'm going to copy it 4 times because I would like to place my icons inside these squares. Maybe that's too big. Let's make it slightly smaller. Like that. So copy, paste. Another way to copy is by pressing Alt on your keyboard and pressing Alt and clicking. Click and drag, then you can copy as well. You see, the Smart Guides, it will even indicate when all of these elements are placed evenly from each other. Like that. No, wait. Yes. To get these icons, I can either go and File, Open, or I can place them, which is more accurate. So we go to File and scroll down to Place, or press Ctrl D. Locate my icons. I'm going to locate one at a time. Select it. It will create this block. You can't see it now because my icon is white, but this block actually have a visual of my icon in. And I'm going to click on the first block here. Nothing happened because my icon is slightly bigger. So I'm going to go over to the top here where it says fit content proportionally. Click on that and it will make sure that your icon or your shape fits into the square. Go over to the second square, File, Place. We had the email address placed in there. Fit content proportionally. And you repeat these steps with the other icons. Place. Website. File, place, and the address. The next tool is really easy. It's called the Type tool, which you're familiar with by now because we made use of it in Photoshop and Illustrator. You will need to click and drag a text box. By simply clicking, it's not going to work. I'd like to locate my contact details. I'm simply going to copy it from this one. But to do this, you can use the Type tool. Click and drag anywhere on your artboard or outside of your artboard and simply type in the details. As easy as that. Okay, so you can do it with all 4 of these. Another important thing that I would like to bring to your attention is the fact that there's a standard size typeface for business cards, and it should never be smaller than this. The default size for contact details on a business card is between 7 and 10 points. So never go anything lower than 7 points because it becomes unreadable. Just going to align this. Make sure everything aligns. No, like that. And as easy as that. I'm going to press W just to view details. Oops, W again. Okay, so you will find these files. I've added it to your toolkit, the PDF document, so you can access these files if you want to have a look at them. And I've also saved them as print ready format, just to give you an idea. I think that would make it a bit easier. So if you have purchased the toolkit already, you will see all of these files in there. Otherwise, you can always purchase it now. I'm going to go over to File, Save, because I always want the InDesign file. And let's call it Business Card. Save. So an INDD file is an InDesign document. You can simply save it because we might want to go back and change settings again. And then File, Export this time. The type you can either export as a PDF print or interactive document. So normally to print files, a PDF or a JPEG is the best option, depending on the program that you're using. So I'm going to save it as a PDF print because we would like to print this file and it's going to retain all the printing settings. Click Save. It looks quite similar to how we saved a PDF document in Illustrator. I'm going to say High Quality Print. Go over to Marks and Bleeds, tick Crop Marks this time, and also tick Use Document Bleed Settings. Export. And I have my business card. Minimize, open up in Adobe, and this is what it looks like. We also have the crop marks, so your printer will know exactly where to cut to this document. It's also saved in CMYK, so you don't need to worry about any of those settings. And with lesson 7 finally done, we literally only have one lesson left for module 1. And in lesson 8, we will be designing a multi-page brochure in InDesign. I will also teach you the basics of typography and also to understand that type is more than just communication. I will end off with some mistakes to avoid when you are looking at becoming a professional graphic designer. Before we wrap up this lesson, I want to talk to you about the bigger picture and the places that graphic design and education have taken me with the right help. I want you to think about why you signed up for this course in the first place. What were your goals for this course? What did you want to achieve by the end of this course? Why are you here? So maybe you feel like you're a self-improver. Did you sign up for this course because you wanted to just improve your design ability? And perhaps you simply love the process of designing. You just want to improve your design skills. So you are here because you want to complete the full graphic design course. Do you perhaps want to get your professional diploma? Or maybe you want to check out other courses at Sha Academy to expand your knowledge. After doing this module, you just want to understand the basics of graphic design and develop your passion for the creative industry even more. Perhaps after embarking on this course, you've decided that you want to aspire to something a little bit greater. You're thinking beyond just doing this particular course and taking your graphic design a bit further. Do you want to complete the full course of graphic design and gain your professional diploma in graphic design? Or maybe you want to complete another related course to get another diploma and take your design skills even further. Or perhaps you want to start making a supplementary income with your graphic design skills. Or maybe from the outset, you just had your eyes on the prize, which is to become a professional graphic designer. And you certainly are on the right track if that is your goal. You would like to complete the full graphic design course and gain your professional diploma and complete all other professional diplomas related to graphic design. You might consider any of our other courses that will link well with your current graphic design course. We offer a professional diploma in various fields, including a course in Illustrator, Photoshop, web design, mobile app development, social media, and so many more. If you can remember my story, I not only studied graphic design, but had a variety of other courses as well. This opened so many doors for me, and I would suggest you consider the same approach. This will allow you to enter the industry to become a professional graphic designer with all the necessary skills that you need to succeed. But you definitely will need to put the work in here, as success does not simply fall on one's lap. Now, perhaps you've got aspirations even beyond being a professional and you want to start a business based around graphic design. So perhaps you're an entrepreneur and you want to use graphic design as a foundation to build something even greater. And indeed, this course is that foundation to help you set yourself up as your own self-sustaining business. So, as you might have guessed, you want to complete the full graphic design course and gain your professional diploma. But you may want to explore other courses to further your business goals as well. Well, if this sounds like you, I recommend that you go with our 3 or 6 month membership, as these options will allow you to complete the current graphic design course. The 12-month membership will allow you to complete other courses as well. Like mentioned, you can check out all these courses too. If you're still not sure what to do, then simply sign up on a month-to-month basis. Many students before you have come through and taken this journey before. One such student, Jordan, liked the style of the classes and the fact that it's very simple and convenient. He looked forward to learn more and eventually start his own business. Onisemu has a short and to-the-point review in stating that he has transformed from a graphic novice to a professional with the help of our graphic design course. So remember, Module 2 starts next week. I hope that you have signed up, as I'm excited to share even more design knowledge with you. With our current offer, give yourself enough time to complete your courses comfortably. Take out the 3, 6 or 12-month membership, and there is still up to 50% off on this offer. But remember, time is running out as this is a limited offer. So, you know the drill by now. Our mission is to provide you with convenient, flexible, affordable, interactive, and an internationally recognized education. It's higher education at a lower cost in your own time, and you learn in your own way. All you have to do is simply choose the plan that is best suited for you. Education is literally more affordable than it has ever been before. To do a brief recap on Lesson 7, which is our second last lesson for Module 1. We looked at the different color spaces and determined CMYK, which stands for cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, are mostly used for printing purposes. RGB, which is red, green, and blue, is normally used for digital purposes. We then determined how to access and adjust these color spaces in Adobe Illustrator, Photoshop, and InDesign. We created a print-ready document by understanding the terms bleed, cutline, crop marks, as well as margins. We then finished off with an introduction to Adobe InDesign, explaining all the essentials needed to understand the functions of InDesign, and designed a business card for Fred's coffee shop. I'm sure there will be some students who might have some queries. You're welcome to send me an email at support@shaacademy.com. 7 lessons down, 1 to go, for Module 1 only though. With only 1 lesson left for Module 1, I want to thank you for joining me on this journey. See you at our very last lesson.